Hey everyone, um, I just wanted to make a quick video to talk about the gaming industry. I mean, because tomorrow is E3 and I just read a report on Yahoo that was titled, "Is the gaming industry dying?" I know I've been talking about Toonami, for the past several videos, but now I'm finally going on to the gaming because Toonami is on television. I'm supporting it everywhere I can, and I hope a lot of other people are too. If you love anime and all that, because I love anime, but I don't love every single anime show out there. I mean, everyone has their own tastes, and anime certainly spans through all these different genres, so there's something for everyone. Um, but anyway, back to the point. You know, is the gaming industry dying? Now, a lot of us would think, what are you talking about? The gaming industry is fine. Like, a lot of people are thinking that and all, probably just hearing me say that. But really, it was reported that, based on sales this year, like, around this time last year, sales were pretty high, and sales certainly didn't get any higher this year, but they actually went lower, by 27% on console gaming. Now, and this is a bad thing for, of course, Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft, but also PC gamers, because, you know, think of all these big games that, you know, get released, every year or every few years, and, they have all these different mediums to go to, consoles and the PC. So they have all these different sales coming in, and of course people wait till prices are cheap, because I know prices, that's one factor. I mean, there's a lot of people that are okay with the prices, but there's also a lot of people that can't afford it, so it's 50-50 on prices. Um, if you pre-order games, uh, then you probably don't have a problem with the prices, because you probably paid off little by little if you do it locally. Because the problem with the game sales, a bunch of casual gamers, they buy like iPad, buy little games on iPad and stuff, iPod as well, but those purchases don't count towards retail games. Those count towards digital, and the sales went down on retails, like, so that's where the major problems are, on the retail market. And I agree that there's not that many great games out there. And one of the major reasons for that is the term Western appeal, which has been used almost constantly throughout this generation of gaming. Which, it sucks when Japanese developers use that term, because although Final Fantasy 13 I thought was a great game, great story and all, just the way that the English dubs for it were put together and all were kind of off, and the term Western appeal actually hurt it. Resident Evil 5, the term Western appeal actually hurt that game, because I mean the game is fun and all, but it was lacking horror, and the Western appeal strafing controls definitely added to making that game a kind of downer. But there's plenty of other examples to go along with that. I mean, a lot of the games made in Japan were great because they were unique whenever they came out. Think back to like the original Nintendo to PS1 and PS2. I mean, they weren't trying to use the term Western appeal. They were, doing their own thing. And because they did their own thing, the games actually turned out amazing back then. And I think that's one reason why, like, within these past few years, we see all these HD collections coming out of all these old games, is because I think a lot of us prefer those games over most of the new games due to the fact that they were good for because they were made, in their own way. They weren't using the term Western appeal to try to reach out to the Western side, and because really the term Western appeal, they add all these unnecessary things into the game that they really don't need to. I mean, if there's a Western influence, fine, because let's think back to some of the games made in Japan that already have a Western influence on them, like Resident Evil. When it started out, the first few games took place in U.S. Dino Crisis, that took place in U.S., but they were all Japanese made. So, did they have a Western influence? Yeah, but were they like anything we had here in the U.S.? Not so much. They were their own thing. Final Fantasy, it was its own thing, and now they're trying to use the term Western appeal to get, you know, make it feel like what they say a mod is a modern RPG, but really the term Western appeal just kind of hurts, the things like that. Like Final Fantasy is best when it's Japanese made, not Westernized. I mean, English dubbing is not the problem because obviously we need, the games to be in our language so we can understand it and all. But, everything else that the gameplay and all that, if they use the term Western appeal for any of that stuff, it does affect the sales because, when people review it, they're going to say, this sucks about the game, this sucks about it, and this sucks about it. And, too many people pay attention to reviews rather than using their own judgment. I mean, a review once in a while is fine, but use your own judgment because most of the time you end up missing out on the best games because a lot of the reviewers today are biased, saying things like, oh, Call of Duty is the best game in the world because, it's a first-person shooter and the gameplay doesn't really change with it. Or, Halo or any of that because they're so busy, hyping up these games that they say everything else sucks, and then, once those other games do get a real review, it's like, okay, that actually sounds good. I'll try it out when people see it. And this kind of relates with Toonami because, back in the day when Toonami was on TV before it got taken off of Cartoon Network, they used to do game reviews, and even now when it started off a week ago, or I guess it will be 2 weeks now, but when they started off on their Adult Swim run, they started with a game review. They weren't being biased about it, which I was like, wow, that's actually making the game sound interesting. I mean, the worst thing a reviewer could do is, yes, I understand they give the reviews based on their opinions, but when you're being biased about it and you're saying, instead of saying, okay, this is what's good about the game and this is what's bad about the game and this is what you have to do in the game, and you go, oh, this sucks, and this sucks, but this is the only good thing about the game, then that's not really a review. That's more of a rant 101 that why this game is bad video, or article, because that's just putting some bias in it. That's not telling others, hey, I may not like this game personally, but you should go give it a try. So that's another issue right there, is reviewers being biased towards games. Prices of not the games themselves, but all the merchandising, like controls being the same price as any game, or even the consoles being so expensive. That that hurts the industry. So maybe they should think about, you know, yes, I understand they have to make a profit, but they shouldn't make the pricing so extreme, you know? That's I mean, that's something that hurts the industry is pricing. That's a definite. But there's also, like I said, the Western appeal term. Because, for example, like, just think about it. If you're watching my video and you play games like Call of Duty, Halo, or anything, which are all Western-made games, imagine if they said, we're gonna use an Eastern appeal. Like, imagine if they use the term Eastern appeal. And they try making it like a Japanese style war game or something, you know, putting samurai swords and all this crazy stuff in there, and all these Japanese moves and phrases. You're gonna be like, what is this? You know, you're not gonna like it because it's not gonna feel right being done by an American team. You know, they're trying to imitate the Japanese people to appeal to the audience, you know. I mean, when anyone buys a game, it's to get a unique experience from it, like, you know, something different. For example, me, I don't like playing the same thing every time, so I mean, I tried Call of Duty and I stopped playing it in like 2005 because I haven't seen much of a difference in the gameplay since then. Like, you know, I haven't seen really much of anything different in those games. I still play Street Fighter and, of course, you know, Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, and you're probably saying, those are all fighting games, those are all always the same. Well, the gameplay mechanics, yeah, but they always do something different each time, and not just the design, but, you know, like the graphics, the moves, all that, they change it up a bit. I mean, this time Tekken's always known for having the little scenario modes, but this time Tekken actually took, when they made Tekken 6, they took it and, you know, they actually incorporated the story into it, so it feels more like you're playing through, you know, in kind of Tekken adventure mode. I thought, like, well, that was pretty cool. Like, people didn't like it that much, but I thought at the same time, yeah, that's cool. You know, they tried something different. Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Capcom could have done a way better job with it, or, you know, the team that made it. But the game, it's an okay game, you know. It's not like they try to westernize it, like a lot of the games outside of the fighting genre. Resident Evil 5, Western appeal definitely hurt the game when they added the strafing controls. I mean, it just doesn't feel right for Resident Evil. But Resident Evil 6, I hope they didn't use the term Western appeal with it. I hope they're actually I hope they actually did it to where it feels, you know, unique, you know, still Resident Evil, but a lot of new things, hopefully, like, get that ultimate experience that they wanted into it. I mean, with 600 people working on the game or more, they better have done that right, at least. And I mean, this is one game that I'm definitely looking forward to. So, I mean, I'm not going to expect too much because I don't want to set myself up for disappointment, but I hope they did a great job with it. That's all I'm saying. There's Tekken Tag Tournament too. It's like, okay, I remember when they made the last game and I bought Tekken Hybrid in November 2011 because of Tekken Tag Tournament was being remastered in HD, and it brought back some memories to play the game again. And then there was the Tekken Blood Vengeance CG movie, which I thought was amazing, and it's definitely worth the watch in both English and Japanese. Like, it's like, wow, surprisingly the dubcast actually did a great job with it. But anyway, I mean, there's a lot of unique ideas that they could come up with, but using the term Western appeal definitely doesn't help Japanese game developers. I mean, Eastern appeal wouldn't help Western developers, so they shouldn't, try to imitate something out that they're not. I mean, it's okay to get an influence from it, but not try to be totally like it, because that's something that hurts the business. Anyway, I'm gonna stop my video there and comment, rate or whatever. But I definitely want to hear people's thoughts, so, or read them. So at least comment or whatever, and make your own video on the topic. I mean, I think this is important, knowing E3 is coming up, and if a lot of us like anime, we should help, or at least not all of us, but there's a lot of people out there that like anime. This should be something to discuss for you as well, because anime and video games go side by side. So if we want to help the anime industry even more, we better support the video game industry. Me as a gamer, I'm already supporting it, in my own way. As much as I want to support the anime industry by helping Toonami and all that. Anyway, like I said, let me stop my video here. Comment, rate, whatever, and hopefully I'll make another video soon. Bye.